Welcome to the Healer's Circle, where extraordinary healers share their personal journeys, wisdom, and how to heal yourself. My hope is that their insights, practical tips, and aha moments inspire and guide you in discovering your own gifts to reach your highest potential. Welcome, Lisa, the family constellation facilitator and trainer, to have a little chat with me today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited about this.
I'm so glad you took the time to share what family constellation is, because when I first heard it from my sister, who still lives in Europe, and I was trying to understand what she's saying, and I'm like, wait a minute, it sounds something impossible, and this is more like magic, or like, what are you talking about? Till I got to experience it myself in Europe. And when I came back to the Bay Area, I started to look for who does it here, and then I found you, and then I got to experience the sessions with you. And I guess in my way, I was like, oh my God, I really love to see plays and see stories, except family constellation. It's kind of like, but I get to be part of that play. So please tell the listeners, what is family constellation?
Yeah, so family constellation is a modality that is used mainly to heal the ancestral trauma that we unconsciously carry. So we carry trauma from our ancestors from the moment of conception, and we start connecting to what they were not able to process, the blocked emotions. We connect to the excluded members of the family system because everybody belongs. So we want to help heal the family system, and we want to belong. So we decide to take on what's pending for healing so that we can help heal as a gift to the family system, because we're so grateful for our life. And we also want to be one of the system, to belong, because for us, belonging means survival. Mm-hmm. So we're going to take the patterns, the ways, the values, the beliefs, even if they're not beneficial for us. So if there's scarcity in our family, they didn't have enough money, then we say, I'm going to do it the same way. We make like these promises, these vows. It's like we make the script of our life. We already know if we're going to have love, if we're going to have a healthy relationship, if we're going to have money, if we're going to be fulfilled, if we're going to have a professional life. From the first years of our life, because we already made those decisions.
Yeah.
And then because it's an unconscious decision, then we may try to do everything to have a successful partnership. But even the unconscious promise is that we're going to fail, eventually everything is going to fail as well, and we won't get this. So the family constellations is a powerful tool because it lets us like go deep into the unconscious part to find those promises, those vows, those entanglements, and to say, this is not healthy for me or for the family system. I now choose to release it, and I choose something different.
Yeah, so basically to bring to awareness what we don't even know about. Like, for example, my mom and us, and it's always issues around money. It's like, where are we stuck? Like, what is going on? And then I believe it might have come up with one of the constellation work where it's like, well, yeah, but if we take back to the time where my great grandfather or someone in that path used to be wealthy, but then, because I grew up in Estonia, I used to be part of Soviet Union, and then anybody who was educated, anybody who was wealthy, it was taken from them and sent to Siberia. So I think from that time still, it was like, well, no, you don't want to become wealthy because that could be a consequence of being sent to Siberia. So being aware of this, then that's where the healing becomes. But if you don't even know it's there, it's like, how do you even address this, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Could you tell a little bit more about how does it work? Because I've now been part of this. I've seen how it's done in a group work, and it was so hard for me to picture this when my sister first told me. Could you describe a little bit more how it works?
Yes. And I would like to invite everybody that's watching this to experience it. Because no matter how many things I try to explain, it's until you experience it that you fully understand what's going on.
Absolutely. And I can tell you that that's sort of like my sister tried to explain someone who is like, I still don't get it. It sounds like impossible. And you're in it. You're like, how does it work like this? It's not possible. It's great. So yeah, I encourage people to come to do the sessions with you and to really understand it. But just a little bit, can you tell them what to
Yes, of course, of course. So when I'm going to explain a little bit about how this was developed and how people were able to notice that this was happening.
Yeah.
So my understanding is that it started with Virginia Satir, that she was a very well-known family therapist, and she was working with families all the time. And often, for example, and so this is the story that I heard. So, for example, she would tell, the mom is there and the daughter's there. So, daughter, tell your mother this. And how does this, resonate with you? What made you feel? And what did this make you feel? And what do you think about this? So tell your daughter. And then, but sometimes, life is life. And then mother couldn't be there for whatever reason. So she would tell the client, so pretend that your mother is here. But it was a little bit, hard for clients to pretend in an empty space that they were talking to their mother. So she started telling the secretary, please come, just sit there and just, pretend you're the mom. And now this is your mom. So tell her whatever you wanted to say.
Yeah.
And the secretary started, noticing all these emotions, all these feelings, all these sensations that she knew that they weren't there. They weren't from her. Yeah. They were actually connecting somehow to like the energy field of the mother or whoever she was representing.
Yes.
And this was like an opening to start exploring this. And this is basically what we're doing in family constellations. When somebody is representing, because there's a client that's having their constellation, and then the client chooses several representatives to represent different roles in the constellation. So the representatives are doing what the secretary was doing. Mm-hmm. They are being the mother, the father, the great-great-grandmother, the client, and they are noticing their sensations, their emotions. And we are all able to do this because we do it all the time. Mm-hmm. It's just that we don't know that we're doing it. Those gut feelings, those intuitions, those sensations. Sometimes, you go to a party and nobody has said anything and you already know that something is wrong. Somebody's fighting with somebody else. There's this expression that you can cut the tension with a knife. Why does this expression exist? It's talking about energy. Mm-hmm. With our body, with our energy field and our intuition, we connect to the energy of the field. And it gives us information. So this tool that every single human being has is what we're using when we're representing in the family constellations to connect to the field, to the family system. So we're not channeling the souls or the spirits of the ancestors. That's not what we're doing. What we're doing is that with our body, with this tool that we already have of the intuition, we connect to the energy, to the field, to notice what's needed to be seen, what's needed to be healed. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the client, according to the topic, is going to have representatives, and they're going to be feeling different things, walking, doing different things. And that gives us an information of the entanglement that the client has with the topic mm-hmm. that they're working on. And then I ask the clients to say certain phrases, healing phrases that are connected to the healing that's necessary, of seeing the ancestors, honoring and respecting everything that happened, releasing judgment and criticism, and letting go what doesn't belong to them, to be able to connect to life, to love, to abundance, to health, and to success. So when the client says the phrases, we notice the representations of the people that are representing the family members. How did that resonate? Did it change everything? Did it release anything? Did it unblock anything? And that's how we continue in the session until we find some place of resolution, a place where what has been separated is united and it's at peace. Yeah. And this is how we move through the constellation. I don't know if that helps
That's a great
explain.
answer. Yeah, and I think anything more than that, people wouldn't understand anyway unless they experience it. So I think that was a great answer, trying to explain something that you really need to just experience. But I think one thing that you mentioned there, and I was struggling before I experienced it, was, yeah, but how do I know if I know how to feel? What if I can't do it? But like you said, everyone can. As long as you step into that circle or that energy field, it will just come to anybody. You don't have to have magical skills or anything. You just tap into it when you're open to doing this work. And my question is, do you have some of the feedback that you can share with people, like, well, but why do I want to do this work? Like, what are some of the, either people have told you the outcome or solutions? What some of the experiences your clients have had?
So many different things, because in family constellations, we can be stuck in any area of our lives. We can have health issues, we can have financial issues, professional issues, issues with our relationships with our children, with our partners, with our friends, with our co-workers, success. It can affect any area of our lives because our ancestors struggled with any area, all the possible areas. So if we have an entanglement with an ancestor that struggled in a specific area, well, we might be doing it unconsciously, like, ancestor, you struggled in this area, so will I, because I'm part of the system. I belong to this clan, to this group. Mm-hmm. So any other areas of life.
Yeah.
And what usually clients come to me is because they're stuck in one or other areas. Mm-hmm. Because there's so many different examples, there's so many different things that have happened to my clients. Mm-hmm. When they give me the feedback, because sometimes we only have one session and I never know anything from them. And I hesitate to give the examples because every person is different. Every situation is different. Every family system is different.
Right.
Sometimes it takes time. Sometimes an entanglement is connected with things from the family system, but also with things that we need to change in our lives, that we need to do. So it doesn't mean that by me giving you these examples, that if somebody has the same issue, it's going to happen the same way. Each person is different, like I said. But I've had people that have come and haven't been able to find a healthy relationship. And then a year later, they come and they show me their ring. I'm married.
Yes.
And I've had people that have health issues, even chronic issues, that the doctors have told them that they're going to use medicine for the rest of their lives. And they suddenly come back and they say, I don't need the medicine anymore. It's not completely gone, but it doesn't bother me anymore.
Right. But I
have people...
All right, go ahead.
That have issues with their work, and the things have improved. Mm-hmm. Even, sometimes I had a client that he did a constellation and immediately he was fired. Mm-hmm. We were like, ooh. And then 1 month after, he said, I found a different job that's so much better. Right. And it's so much closer to what I wanted. And like a little bit like you said, like magic. When they said I was fired, I was like, oh goodness. But then it's like, I trust the field. I trust this is what's best for him. This is not me deciding, and this is what's important. The facilitator is not deciding the path or the healing that's necessary. We just open the space for it to take place.
I love that it's not for us to decide what is best for somebody, because we don't know what that maybe seemingly not that good thing actually leads to that positive outcome. But how can it happen? How can you get a better job if you don't leave the previous one, right? So I'm glad that you're like, we just trust that whatever happens is going to be for the client's greater good. But have you had like aha moment similar to this, perhaps, is like, oh, wow, well, I didn't know it could work this way. Something on your path to either growing up or leading to this work where you're like, wow, this really is like life-changing, or like, I wish I would have known this when I was younger.
Every single day of my life.
Exactly.
This is, I've been in the family constellations world, I think for more than 20 years now, or around 20 years. I've been facilitating for more than 10 years. Mm-hmm. And it's become so much part of my life that I forget that there's life without it. Yeah. But I'm still in awe. I'm still, every single constellation that I either do or that I witness or It's just amazing. And the information of the foundations of family constellations, it's also so important that I always think that everybody should know this from when they're children. You know, the order, the role that we have in the family system, the respect toward others, the remembering the ancestors, honoring and respecting the ancestors no matter what happened, letting go of judgment and criticism, understanding that everybody, including ourselves, we're doing the best that we can. And that doesn't mean that if somebody has hurt somebody else, that it's not their responsibility. Part of the learning and the growth process is for everybody to keep their responsibility. And we leave that responsibility with our ancestors, but we accept the responsibility from our lives, from the things that we do of hurting others. So all these foundations are so important in the day-to-day life. Being responsible for our lives, taking accountability, deciding to be in life, because a lot of the things that come up in the family constellations is that, ancestor, I'm going to suffer like you did. I'm not going to be in life. I'm going to be in death with you.
Yeah.
So just the decision of I'm going to be in life. I'm going to be in the present moment. I'm going to be in the energy of gratefulness, of being able to cherish every single breath that I take in my body in this moment, in this instant. All that together, you know, it's part of life and it's part of daily life.
Yeah, choosing your path, no matter what has happened in the past or in the history, with ancestral, path for generations. So curious for the people who are like, well, but how did you find your path? How did you know you want to do this? Like, let's say for people who are like, I want to do something, but I don't know yet what it is. What was your journey? How did you discover this is your thing?
So the first thing that I say to people that are interested in family constellations, either to learn about family constellations or just to be in a group and try to see what it is to not think about it, to feel it.
Absolutely.
To just sense if there's a connection, if you're like being called to it, and then just go and experience it and see how that resonates with you. Because this is not for everyone, that's clear.
Yes.
And you're going to know how you feel with it, not from your brain, not from the logic. And for me, it was that, however, a completely different path, how it started. I studied business administration and I started working in Procter & Gamble in finance. Then I did a master's in human resources and I was working in a company in human resources. Then I did a master in coaching and I started having clients in coaching. And that's one of my teachers mentioned family constellations and it kind of sounded important. So then I went to learn about family constellations to experience it. And for me, it was like, wow, this is, I always say, like, you know, Cupid that sends like an arrow of love for couples. For me, that was with family constellations. It was like, I was like shot with the arrow of fascination and connection with family constellations. For a very long time, I was part of a Buddhist group and doing a lot of meditations and different kind of modalities of growth and self-awareness. And for me, family constellations kind of like brought all of this together. So from that moment, I was like, wow, I want to learn more. I want to do more. I want to be more in this field. And I started going as much as I could. I started learning about how to facilitate family constellations, not because I wanted to facilitate, but because I just loved it so much. And when I came to the US, I was like I used to go every single week. My teacher used to have groups every single week, and it was part of my life, you know. I would go weekly to the family constellations group to facilitate, to help represent in other constellations. And here, when I came to the US, I started looking for groups and I could hardly find any. And since I had the training, I said, well, I'm going to create my group. And then that's already more than 10 years ago.
That's amazing. That's so great. And I find it the same way. Like when I was looking for Constellation here in the Bay Area, I'm like, where is it? Like, luckily I found you, which was wonderful. Now tell me, if you could go back in time for younger you, whatever age that would be, are there any suggestions or tips that you would like to share that you think would have been useful to a younger you?
So the thing that comes, although it's not from family constellations, it's just like, my goodness, relax.
Yes.
Don't take things so seriously.
Yes. Yes, that is a great tip. I think we all need it because we're constantly beating us up, and then it's like, well, where's that going to lead?
Yes.
Yeah. But for
To enjoy the present moment, and that part it is connected to the constellations, but it's that of just being present instead of worrying so much, a bit instead of stressing so much. Just enjoy life.
Yeah, exactly. And with along this line, but people still have their ups and downs and everything. Would you have any tips or what you do when you do feel down or when you're not taking life that easily? Because of course, sometimes life happens and sometimes just for whatever reason we're feeling down. Any tips what you do or suggest for others?
One of the things that we do from family constellations perspective is a lot of work with the emotions. And that I feel that is so important because I mean, we don't get any knowledge on how to manage our emotions in a healthy way. We just imitate what we see in our family system and what we see in the community.
Yes.
I've seen that changed, and there's at least here, I've seen a lot more information to children on how to work with emotions, but I didn't have any of that. So I would have loved to know more of how to deal with emotions, how to accept them and not reject them, have tools to navigate them, to just be able to allow them to be. In family constellations, one of the foundations is that we don't reject anything. Yeah. If everything exists, it's for a reason. It's part of life. And all emotions are necessary and are there for a reason. So we need to be able to just allow them to be and breathe deeply as we navigate all these complicated emotions. And then it will, they'll melt away, they will pass, and it will help us give us more clarity. But I didn't have those tools when I was growing up. And there were so many emotions that I was just like, drowning in them. I didn't know how to, manage them, how to process them. I love, for example, tools like tapping for emotional release. And I think that would have been so helpful for me in my teenage years to deal with teenage years are like this, emotional roller coaster.
You're right. And them growing up, and even my daughter now is like, wait, I'm breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing. So they have little tools already from early on that we did not have.
Exactly. And that's so valuable.
Yeah, but what you hit on the nail, I think, is the feel them, right? It's like and especially for poor men and boys have been brought up, you're a man, don't feel your feelings and, hold it in. And then what is that going to do? It's going to start destroying us internally and turn into health issues and who knows what else. But I love what you're saying, feel it, right? And that's part of the self-care is really feeling the emotions that are coming up so you could release them. Are there any other self-care tips that you practice yourself or suggest?
I do a lot of self-care. I think it is so important. And I meditate every morning. Mm-hmm. For me, if you can do one thing, is to meditate. If you can do 20 minutes, it's perfect. But if you can do only 5 minutes or even 2 minutes, we all have 2 minutes. Go to the bathroom, close your door, and for 2 minutes, just notice the thoughts without rejecting them, but noticing them and letting them go. Mm-hmm. And what I do is that because, of course, we all have busy lives, we don't have 3 hours to sit down and meditate. What I do is I bring this meditation into my daily life. So, for example, when I'm in my car, instead of worrying about all the things that I need to do or thinking about the past or what I should have done differently, I decide to be in that present moment. So I notice the cars, I notice the trees, I notice the sky, the sun, my hands, how do they feel in the wheel? I bring myself to a meditation, of course, not a meditation of tuning out because we're driving, but a meditation in the sense of being present in that moment. Then when I'm cooking, then notice the ingredients, the smell, being present, noticing the thoughts that come up that are not related with the cooking, and then just releasing them. When I'm walking my dog in the morning, the same. Notice the sensation of my feet touching the ground. Notice the flowers. So bringing meditation into every moment that we can in life. That for me, it's so important because then in the moments of stress, in the moments of, that all those thoughts coming of a crisis, we're able to I release what's not useful, and I focus only what's necessary right now. But in order to be able to do that, we need to practice before, and we practice in meditation.
Yeah, I love that you brought up here too, because a lot of people are like, well, I don't know how to meditate. I don't have time. I cannot focus, all those things. But I love that you pointed out, like, well, just paying attention to that one thing that you're doing, that just being aware of it versus you're letting your mind run like crazy, that itself is going to bring you the focus. That itself is, the step towards it, or like letting you focus and getting rid of the clouds of crazy everyday life out there. For the people who are kind of hesitant to go towards what they're feeling, like for you, it was the family constellation, and maybe for someone else, it's spiritual work or something. But then they're like, yeah, well, but, I don't know, like any encouragement of finding their path into doing what they love that's calling them?
I would say to follow their heart.
Yeah.
And if their heart says that they're not ready, they're not ready. Mm-hmm. And that's okay.
It's okay. Yeah.
And each person needs to respect their rhythm, their path, their way. And maybe that, whatever it is, maybe it's family constellations, maybe it's something else, it's not for them, or it's not for them at that moment. And if they are following their heart, they're going to find whatever is right for them in each moment in their lives.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, I am so grateful you shared what family constellation is. And from experiencing it myself, I'd say it is such a great thing and fun thing and fascinating thing to experience. So I encourage everyone to check out, how can people come and attend either your in-person or your remote sessions?
The easiest way to find my information is through my website. It's coachingandconstellations.com altogether. And there you'll find, for example, a tab with my events. So if you go there, you're going to find the events of the month that we're in and the next month, and the links to register and the information of each of the events. I also have an online on-demand course for somebody that wants to go a little bit deeper and start healing already aspects of their lives in the family system. I have a tab with videos, and there in the videos, there's a tab. There's some videos in Spanish and some in English, and there's a link for my YouTube. I have a YouTube in Spanish and a YouTube in English, where you can find so many videos already. They're short, so that they're easy to watch, like around 5 minutes, with information that can help you start healing. In my website also, you can find my Instagram if you want to follow and get like messages. So through my website is like the portal to all the different things that you can do. It also has a link for the one-on-one sessions. I do one-on-one sessions via Zoom. So everything is there. So it's like the portal for all the different ways of connecting with the modality and with me.
So people have easy access to find you in that way too. And I would like to encourage people, what I did with a friend of mine who's like, oh, that's interesting. I don't know if I want to go by myself. I'm like, well, you don't have to go by yourself. I can just come with you. We can do it together. So you could easily go do it. And in the sense of like, once you're perhaps in that circle, you don't even have to necessarily be part of, right? You can just kind of like witness and create the space, support the space just by being there, right? For the ones who are like, oh, I just kind of want to check it out, but I'm a little bit not sure if I want to really step and be in the circle with other people. That's still okay, right?
That's still okay, yes.
Yeah.
Sometimes I have to add that the energy, will choose them. You know, sometimes they're going to start experiencing things that are like, looks like they're representing, and that we don't have control. Yeah. However, I always tell people, the ones that want to represent, raise their hand. Yes. And if somebody doesn't want to, they just don't raise their hand, and they don't get selected.
Exactly. But it was the same way, I think, first when I went with my sister, like, I'm just going to come check it out. And when I was there, like, I want to be part of this. This is so cool. So that's why I'm encouraging the people who are maybe hesitant. You can go there with no expectations. But if you feel like, joining in here is an amazing opportunity. And like you said, it doesn't matter if it's your health or relationships or money, or it's just like wherever you feel like you have a blockage in your life. it's a great thing to use as a tool to see, to bring your awareness, what needs opening, what needs healing, and then kind of go from there, right?
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
thank you so much for taking the time to share with us more what is family constellation. And I'm looking forward to having another, one of these sessions with you in the future. And hopefully listeners will come and join you and us as well.
Yes, well, thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you for joining us. If you are a healer with valuable insights to share, we'd love to hear from you. As together, we can inspire, heal, and raise one another. Till we meet again, sending you love, light, and gratitude.